Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're taking a look at from the Transformers Studio series. This is Leader Class Megatron. Now, this is based on the concept art of how Megatron would have appeared in the Bumblebee movie. Long story short, they were going to include Megatron, but at the not the last minute, but along the way, they decided they wanted to keep Bumblebee the movie in line with the pre-existing films, and that really by the 1980s, where the film was set, Megatron had already departed Cybertron and was frozen in ice on Earth. Now, we're starting off in what I think is the weakest of Megatron's three modes, and that's this flight mode. Clearly, it's based on Megatron's alternate form from the first Transformers film, which was like this Cybertronian asymmetrical Decepticon jet. You can say that yeah, this does look very solid, but I have to be honest, this is after a few days of fiddling trying to get this form right, thinking that there's something has to be wrong, looking at other reviews and getting this is the best I can get. Um, I mean, it is solid, but I think the main issue has to deal with, and the instructions really aren't that helpful with how the gun is handled. It just really floats in the middle here. There is like a supposed to be like a little tab that goes in, but it really doesn't sit. It's just uh, it just really just doesn't work along, at all. Um, but also it's not clear that you're supposed to extend the gun on this ridge here. You can store it up top in one of the posts here, but I don't know. This kind of has it a little more centered. Also, something of note is how the legs fold up. There are actually, you can see it right here, tabs that are supposed to go into slots. Now, that is supposed to help lock the legs in, so then you can then depress the forearms into the slots there. Very fiddly, not my favorite mode. My favorite alternate mode is the um, tank, which I think we'll show you in just a second. Give me a moment to just adjust the camera. Okay, I just wanted to give myself a little bit more space. The first thing, let's just come underneath, and once you start moving things, stuff is going to lock up. Now, I do recommend checking out other reviews because mine is going to go from the flight mode, the jet mode, to the tank, to the robot. Others might go robot, tank, jet, or things of that nature. So once you have the arms out of the way, just the whole point now is to just start um, pulling things out. Um, Flip up these panels here. This is what the legs tap into. Uh, but the first thing you want to do is fold up that panel right there, and then unpeg the shin and the foot from the what was the thruster. Now we're going to fold that in. That's going to be the tread, and this will actually allow you to readjust the leg back so that the tab will go into the toe of the foot and fold the wing up. There's a tab there that will go into the side, and then fold the tip of the wing up like so. Uh, at this point, rotate the leg upwards like that. Trying to make sure I have everything positioned right. I might have to rotate the hips a little, but we'll see in a second. Just repeat on this side and peg that and peg it from here. And there is some cool stuff like the way they handle what would be the rear treads or the front treads in tank mode and flip them around like that. That's kind of cool. And then just bring this back, take it in. And I do, again, I want to say I appreciate just how everything pegs together. So now that we have that done, let's open up these arms here all the way. This is just to give yourself some space to work with. And then flip this section all the way up. And now we're going to come back underneath here. You want to open up these panels here all the way flat like that. Bring up Megatron's head, rotate it around, and then fold it back down into that space. Then with the nose cone, fold it up. It will tab in right there. Fold that up just like so. So now we can have some fun. The first thing you want to do is rotate the legs around like that. Next, what you want to do, and make sure you keep, now these you need to keep up just out of the way. The instructions show folding these panels, these are the hip skirts, up like this, but if you want, you can also just fold them straight out. I'm just going to leave them like that. But now what you're going to do is pull on the legs and cause them to telescope down. Now at this point, I would go ahead and bring the side panels down for because that is their position for tank mode, but will actually help keep these hip parts from folding back in. Rotate the leg forward, um, and then completely ignore what I said because I had it. You can rotate it again back the way it was, and oh, it just, wait. What am I doing wrong here? Uh, is it because this has to be like that, then like this, and yeah, okay. So basically, what you want to make sure is I have it right on that side. uh, have this. Make sure the black disc parts of the hips are facing up, and then this will just tab in right here, just like that. And also make sure at this point, these hip panels can come back down. By the way, but have that in like so. You have these little panels facing up. Now, this is something that I think gets missed a lot when talking about the tank mode. Right here where my thumb is a little bit of a lip. So what you want to do is position this as such, and that what was basically the will be the back and robot mode will snap into place there. At this point, you can bring the arms in, rotate the cannon around, bring it forward like so, and bring it in on those pieces. And yes, this is going to look a little odd, but there's a there's like a triangle tab here on the shoulder that is going to peg in like so, and then you can then bend the forearms to tab the rear section of the cannon into the other forearm, and then just rotate the barrel so that the sight is facing upward. And just give it a little squeeze. Oh, one last thing. These rear treads are supposed to telescope. In my history of Transformers, these are the hardest joints I have ever had to deal with. I have had to use a spudger to get them out. I unfortunately do not have the hand strength to pull these out. And in fact, from the couple of days of dealing with them, if you can see here, my thumb is like there's dry, like very scabby, just very tender. It really doesn't make much of a difference because there's no wheels to roll on or anything of that nature. So just keep that in mind. Also, having this back section tabbed in properly does put the turret at a bit of an angle. As you can see, it can rotate. It can also pivot upward. I really like the tank. I think it gives me vibes from the game Metal Slug, which a lot of people have said. And really, and honestly, with those treads in, it really isn't that big of a difference. Maybe over time of pulling and pushing, it'll loosen up. But I am not kidding when I say that those are the tightest joints I have ever had to experience. So Yeah, I dig the tank mode. Um, I think it's much more solid than the jet mode. And really, when you have the arms and everything lined up, it doesn't look as awkward as the preview pics, promotional pics did. So this is going to be how I would display Megatron in vehicle mode. And also, let me just mention 5 millimeter port, 3 millimeter tips here. So you do have your option for blast effects. So now we'll pause and we'll show you how to get to the robot mode. Okay, going from tank to robot mode is actually surprisingly easy. Um, the first thing I would suggest doing is just undoing the legs. And basically, you want to open them up here on the side, come underneath, flip up those panels. Uh, if you can, push back the hip skirts. Don't have to go all the way. You're going to bring them right back out, and then collapse, and then unhook the back panel, and then collapse the legs up, uh, all the way, just like so. Uh, bring those panels down. We might have to rotate the hips around. I'm not sure. But if we have to, we can do that later on. But straighten out the wings, unpeg them from the side. Now bring this section forward. Before you bring it down all the way, flip out what's going to be the foot, collapse it in like that, and then fold and fold, just like so. Do it again on this side, and I do think I'm going to have to rotate the hips. Maybe I missed something, but open that up, snap that in, take it back in, fold and fold. So there's Megatron standing. Now what you want to do is rotate this chest section down. Before you get too far, uh, pull those side panels here straight down. Those will go through. Rotate the head around. And yeah, I'm going to have to rotate the hips. I don't remember having to rotate the hips that much. Maybe I had something wrong to begin with, but there you go. There's Megatron. And, there are different fan modes to this robot that people have come up with. So now what you want to do is separate the arms, fold them out like so, rotate at the forearm. So basically, this section is facing upward. You have the elbow, and that panel is facing inward. Do it on both sides, but on this arm, you do want to go ahead and rotate the cannon back. So now we're going to come in, we're going to rotate uh, everything up into place. You want to collapse the shoulders inward so that these little tabs where my fingers are facing forward, and everything's going to peg in on Megatron's chest. And then finally, to flip the hands out, open that panel, push on that little tab. There's one, there's two, and there's Megatron. Now, very quickly, right before we get into anything, there is one thing I want to mention about the cannon here. And also, you want to, before you close it up, make sure that the barrel is now facing upwards like that. This part right here. Now, we saw in tank mode, that's what you use to peg the other forearm in. It's on a hinge. I don't know what that is for, what it does. It is not mentioned in the instructions. Um, I really am completely confused. It's not used in uh, the jet mode. I tried, so I really don't know. But while I have the gun free, what you want to do here is flip that panel out, flip this all the way back so it pegs in forward, and then uh, rotate this around so that the sight is facing down. And then what you can do is actually go ahead and did I have this right or did I screw this up? Because I can't remember if it's supposed to go this way or Does it rotate this way? But or oh wait, no, it's actually supposed to go on the side. So rotate it so that the sight for the gun can actually tab right into the side. There's a little hidden slot, and if you so desire, you can store the cannon on Megatron's back. And I would say you would use this post right here since it's a clean bottom. So yeah, but I don't really know who would do that. So let's just go ahead, get it back, and rotate this back around. Back in. I mean, I do appreciate they did make the effort to include a little extra play with the gun, but I mean, we're going to leave it like this. I mean, that's Megatron. And I think one of the cool parts of the transformation where you can say, not the transformation, but the figure and where some of the budget has went, is we have articulated hands. Now, be very careful. It's basically the 3-in-1 design, three fingers like this, one like that. So, and when folding him up, you kind of want to do it like this, where it's not the perfectly tight fist, but the three fingers go past the ridge of the palm, whereas the finger comes in. Basically, my word of advice when folding the hands up: if they're not going in easy, you don't have the fingers right. But that is kind of cool that they did include that, and there is, of course, a 5 millimeter grip, so you can have Megatron hold other weapons. Um, so yeah, besides that, in terms of the trick articulation, does have a waist swivel. You have those great hips, knees, the whole sheboygan. I mean, you can really just here, boom, and oh, can't do the ankles all the way to get the full Van Damme, but that is really cool. And one thing I really have to mention: look how clean this robot mode is. No kibble on the back, very thin back. Uh, I mean, if you're looking, you see the treads, the wings, but it really is self-contained, and I think that's kind of cool that this can happen when you're dealing with a figure that has its own unique transformation design. You're not having to copy like a pre-existing vehicle mode. Oh, by the way, butterfly joints. That's due to the transformation and the head. Let me just say and add my voice to the chorus. Ball joint. Unfortunately, you don't have a little bit of the side to side waggle, but uh, had this been the look of Megatron in the first Transformers film back in 2007, I would have been a little more. I would have been more positively receptive to the film. I think this is how Megatron should have looked. I think this is the character we should have gotten. And it's a shame that we didn't get to see this in Bumblebee the movie. But yeah, so all in all, I don't think this is necessarily a bad figure. I think it has its issues. I think it has its issues being a triple changer, but that does happen, as is the case um, with other, yeah, and it is the case with most triple changers in general. But other than that, I think this works out pretty well. So yeah, I think we'll pause and we'll come back with my final. I think this is a really cool looking Megatron and probably the best we've gotten in the Studio Series line thus far. Um, yes, it's a concept art design, but for me, this is going to be my movie Megatron. I've never enjoyed the asymmetrical, more techno organic designs as we saw in the first film, uh, Rise, Return of the Fallen, Rise of the Fallen, or even Dark of the Moon with that truck design that then went, but still had that organic Megatron look. The Last Night and Age of Extinction, um, again, it was like Galvatron and stuff, but this to me, this is Megatron. This is how Megatron should have always looked in the films. I know that's going to upset a lot of people, but I think it works. Now, I got this figure from Command Store. The reason I got it from Command Store is that Amazon delayed their shipments initially of this figure, and there was a concern, at least on my part, that like with Hasbro Pulse, um, that they had delayed their figures until May. Now, since getting this figure, apparently Amazon has started shipping, so you can go and order it off of them right now. And even though there's a 2 month delay in shipping, you'll probably get it a lot sooner. But I am okay with having gotten it from Command Store, which is where I've gotten a lot of the figures previously. But I think it's definitely worth the pickup. Two out of the three modes is not bad, especially when you get a very clean robot mode like we have here with Megatron. So that's about it for the review. If you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe. While I will always appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions help communicate to YouTube through the algorithm that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. Want to make the ultimate sign of support? I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you to help me help you bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, if you can't swing the $1 a month or $12 a year, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just the cherry on top of an already generous Sunday. So that's about it. Once again, this is your old pal Chuck for Concept Art Megatron. We will see you next time.